Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be going over on how you can make this beautiful block and just where I found the pattern. And you know me, I like my scraps, so we're going to see if this block looks this good with just scraps. I first saw this block on another YouTuber's channel, Oxygen Farm Quilts. Her name is Christine. I reached out to her and asked if I could make my own version of this, if I made sure that I gave her credit for it. So please be sure to go check out her channel. I have left all the details in the description box below where you can find her because her quilt is beautiful. So for this one, we are going to need some strips of fabric. I'm just using scraps that I cut up. Mine are measuring 2.5 by 10 and a bit. I made mine a little bit longer just so I would have room to trim up, but the measurement is 10 inches. So it's up to you if you want to leave it a little bit longer. So to start, we need to make 2 blocks making strips, and we're going to be needing 2 of your light colors and then 3 of your prints and or darker colors, whichever you have. Depends on what you're making. We need to make 2 strip blocks like this. And to get the desired effect, you are going to want to start with a print or darker color on the top, and then a lighter color, and then darker color, lighter color, and darker color. You can see how I'm placing mine here. And we're just going to sew these together into strip units. So you could use width of fabric and then just make a long strip set and then cut your blocks. So we just need to sew these together with a 1/4 inch seam, which I'm going to be doing here. And you could pin them or clip them if you wanted to. I just brought my pieces all over to the sewing machine and I'm just going to line them up and lay them together and try not to let them shift around too much while I am sewing them. And try not to tug or pull on anything. We just want to make sure that everything's nice and neat. And I'm just going to keep sewing this until I have all of my strip sets done, or my little strip blocks, and then I will show you the next step on that. I find this block turned out beautiful and it's actually very easy to make. So I have pressed all of mine and I pressed all of my seams to the dark side. Now we have 2 here, but we need to spin one so that it's the opposite way, and because we're going to be sewing these together. So one you want them going horizontal and one you want them going vertical. And then we are going to be laying them right sides together, making sure that we are matching everything up. And before I did this, I did make sure that my blocks were measuring 10-inch square. So this is where I mean, like, if you would take a layer cake and you would cut them into 2.5-inch strips, you could get a beautiful quilt using this pattern. And then here I am going to pin them in place because I don't want them to move around while I am sewing it, because we want this to all match up nice and neat so that it works when we cut it apart. So again, double checking that I have one block going horizontal and one going vertical before I sew it together so that I don't have to unpick it later on. And then we are just going to sew a 1/4 inch all the way around the outside of this block, and then we will cut it apart afterwards. So I have it all done here, and now we need to cut it apart on the diagonal. So I'm just going to be very carefully laying my ruler down from one corner to the other and then cutting it with my rotary cutter. We are going to be making 2 cuts here. So once I am done making my first one, I will take my ruler and very carefully lay it the other way, again from corner to corner, and then using my rotary cutter and cutting along there. And I'm going a bit slower here because I don't want my fabric to shift or my rotary blade to shift, and then I make a wrong cut. Well, I'm going to go give these a press and then I will show you the next step. So this is what you are left with. You should have 4 pieces that look like this. And now we need to sew these together into a 4 patch. And here it is up to you how you want to do it. You do have options here on how you place them, so you can get different effects. I think this looks really nice. You have a little X in the middle and it looks really good. But I did see the way Christine had done hers and I preferred that one. And so I'm going to be taking all of my blocks and I'm going to be spinning them around so that my tiny little triangle point is in the center. And I don't know, I just really like the way this looks. I like the first option as well, but this was the one that I preferred. So I'm going to be laying these 2 right sides together and I'm going to sew them together, both top and bottom rows, and then I will sew those together to make a 4 patch. But one thing I will note here is you do want to try to make sure that these points or these seams are matching up. This will make your block look a lot neater and cleaner if you do that. And I'm sorry if you are hearing children in the background. I have told them to be quiet, but they are children and it's raining outside, so I can't just send them outside. And at this point, I will use pins just to keep everything in place because I don't want it to shift around while I am sewing. So this is what my first block would look like, the one that I did with the coordinating colors and then just kind of had it matched up. And then I'm going to show you what the scrappy one looks like now, and I am actually very impressed with it. I actually love the way it looks in the scrap fabrics. So this would be a great option if you have a whole bunch of 2.5-inch strips of fabric lying around. Again, make sure you go check out Christine's video on Oxygen Farm Quilts. I have left it all in the description box below. Thanks for stopping by, and until next time.